They say silence is golden. In my world, silence was survival. But I learned the hard way that sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the one that makes noise. It's the one nobody sees coming. My name is Lieutenant James Reeves, and I'm going to tell you about the night I died. Not literally, though it came close. I'm talking about the death of everything I thought made me valuable. Everything I thought defined strength. This story starts 6 months before that night, in a briefing room in Virginia, where they told me I'd been selected for something special. Task Force Phantom, Black Ops, the kind of missions that don't make the news, don't get medals, don't officially exist. I was 28 years old and thought I was invincible. Ranger qualified, expert marksman, top of my class in every combat course the Army threw at me. I'd done 3 tours, led dozens of successful operations, and never lost a man under my command. My record was spotless, my reputation sterling. When they asked me who I wanted for my team, I picked the best. 8 men, each one a warrior in his own right. Martinez, my demolitions expert, could make a bomb out of a paper clip and chewing gum. Davidson, my sniper, could hit a target at 1,500 meters in a crosswind. Chen, our communications specialist, could hack into anything with a circuit board. And then there was Private First Class Daniel Kim. Kim shouldn't have been on the team. He barely qualified for special operations. He was small, quiet, moved through training with average scores. Nothing spectacular. But Colonel Morrison insisted. And when a full-bird colonel with more classified missions than I had years of life insists, you don't argue. He's an observer, Morrison told me. Every team needs someone who sees what others miss. I smiled and nodded, but inside I was furious. An observer. I needed shooters, fighters, warriors, not someone to take notes while real soldiers did the work. Kim joined us for training in North Carolina. While my team ran drills, practiced room clearing, honed their skills, Kim watched. He'd sit off to the side with a notebook, scribbling observations, saying little. The team started calling him Ghost, because he was there but not really there, present but invisible. It irritated me. We'd be in the middle of tactical exercises, my men performing flawlessly, and Kim would be standing back, watching with those dark, analytical eyes, never offering input unless directly asked, never pushing himself to excel, just observing. After 2 weeks, I went to Morrison. Sir, with respect, Private Kim isn't pulling his weight. He's dead weight on a team that needs to operate at peak efficiency. Morrison leaned back in his chair, studying me. Tell me, Lieutenant, in your last 5 operations, how many times did you face unexpected complications? Combat is unpredictable, sir. Complications are part of the job. Humor me. How many? I thought back. 4 out of 5, I suppose. But we adapted, completed the missions. You adapted, Morrison said slowly, because you're good at what you do. But what if you could see those complications coming? What if you had someone who could read a situation before it went sideways? Intelligence provides that, sir. Intelligence provides data. Kim provides something else. Insight, the ability to see patterns that others miss. Trust me on this, Lieutenant. You'll understand when it matters. I left that office unconvinced, but orders were orders, and Kim stayed with the team. Our first mission came 3 weeks later. Extraction operation in Eastern Europe. A CIA asset had been burned. Needed immediate extraction from a hostile city. We'd have 12 hours to get in, locate the target, and get out before the enemy closed in. The plan was textbook. We'd infiltrate through the sewers, emerge in the old district, move to the safe house, grab the asset, and exfiltrate using a boat on the river. My team had run similar operations a dozen times. We knew what we were doing. Kim sat through the entire briefing without saying a word. As we geared up, I noticed him studying maps, running his fingers over streets and alleyways, his lips moving silently, as if talking to himself. "You got something to say, Kim?" I asked, not bothering to hide my irritation. He looked up, hesitated. "The safe house location, sir. It's exposed. The CIA vetted it. It's been used successfully 3 times. Yes, sir. But those operations were at night. This one's during evening prayer. The mosque, 3 blocks away, will have people coming and going. Eyes on the street." I checked my watch. "We'll be in and out before prayers end. And if we're delayed, sir, we won't be." He nodded and went back to studying his maps. I shared a look with Martinez, who rolled his eyes. The unspoken message was clear. The observer was overthinking again. We inserted at 1900 hours. The sewers were exactly as disgusting as expected. But we moved quickly. My team was a machine, each man knowing his role, executing flawlessly. We emerged in the old district at 1930, right on schedule. The streets were quiet, too quiet actually. But I pushed the thought aside. Sometimes luck was just luck. We reached the safe house at 1945. The asset, a middle-aged man who called himself Victor, was waiting, nervous, sweating, but mobile. Perfect. We'd be at the river in 30 minutes. That's when I heard it. The call to prayer, echoing from the mosque, 3 blocks away, just like Kim had said. But we were ahead of schedule. We'd be gone before the streets filled. Except we weren't. Victor, in his panic, had grabbed the wrong documents. The intelligence package we needed was still in his apartment, 2 kilometers away. He'd forgotten it in his rush to reach the safe house. "We'll get it on the way out," I decided. "Add 10 minutes to the timeline." Kim spoke up, his voice quiet. "Sir, those 10 minutes put us in the middle of evening traffic. The streets will be crowded. Then we move fast and blend in. We've done this before." "Not in this district, sir. Not during Ramadan. The crowds will be different, denser, more observant." I felt my patience snap. "Kim, I appreciate your concern, but I need you to trust that I know how to run this operation. We're getting those documents, and we're leaving. That's final." He fell silent. We moved out. The 10-minute detour turned into 15, because Victor couldn't remember which building was his. The 15 turned into 20, because we hit a security checkpoint we hadn't expected. By the time we retrieved the documents and started for the river, the streets were packed. Kim had been right. The crowds weren't just dense, they were different. Families, elders, people moving with purpose and paying attention. We stood out like wolves among sheep. I saw it in their eyes, the second glances, the whispered conversations. "Double time," I ordered. "We need to reach the river before someone makes a call." We moved as fast as we could without running, but it wasn't fast enough. I heard the sirens before we reached the industrial district. Police, probably tipped off by a concerned citizen. They were converging on our position. "Change of plans," I said into the radio. "We're going to ground. Find cover and wait for them to pass." Kim's voice came through my earpiece, barely a whisper. "Sir, they're not going to pass. They're setting up a cordon. I can see the pattern. They're boxing us in." "How can you possibly know that?" "The sirens, sir. Listened to them. They're not moving in one direction. They're spreading out, surrounding." I stopped and listened. He was right. The sirens were creating a perimeter, and we were inside it. My heart rate kicked up. This was bad. This was exactly the kind of complication that turned missions into disasters. We had 8 operators, 1 terrified asset, and what sounded like half the city's police force closing in. "Options," I barked. "I need options now." Martinez keyed in. "We can fight our way through, create chaos, and slip out in the confusion." Davidson, Find a building, get to the roof, wait for helicopter extraction. Chen, I can jam their communications, buy us time. All solid suggestions from solid soldiers. But Kim's voice cut through, calm and certain. Sir, there's another way. The market district, 2 blocks east, it borders the river. There's a festival tonight. End of Ramadan celebration. Thousands of people, fireworks, music. We can disappear into the crowd. Follow it to the river. They won't lock down a festival with that many civilians. A festival will be even more exposed. Will be invisible, sir. 8 more faces in thousands. They're looking for people hiding, people running, not people celebrating. Every instinct I had screamed against it. Move toward crowds, toward chaos. It violated every tactical principle I'd ever learned. You control the environment. You minimize variables. You don't willingly walk into unpredictable situations. But we were out of time and out of options. The sirens were getting closer. Martinez, Davidson, Chen, fall back to Kim's position. We're going to the festival. I heard the confusion in their responses, but they complied. We moved east, away from the river, toward the sounds of music and celebration. It felt wrong with every step. The festival was massive. Lights strung between buildings, food vendors everywhere, families and friends gathered in joyous celebration. Music pounded from speakers, and the smell of grilled meat filled the air. Kim didn't hesitate. He walked straight into the crowd, and we followed. He started smiling, laughing, moving with the flow of people like he belonged there. He grabbed food from a vendor, paid with local currency, handed it to Victor. Eat, he said quietly. Smile, you're celebrating with friends. And just like that, we transformed. 8 soldiers and 1 terrified asset became a group of friends, enjoying a festival. Kim navigated us through the crowd with uncanny precision. Always moving, never rushing. When police appeared at the perimeter, checking faces, he steered us away naturally, organically. There, he said, pointing to a stage where musicians were playing. Dance. Excuse me, dance, sir. All of you. People who are hiding don't dance. It was absurd. It was insane. But Martinez started first, pulling Chen with him, moving to the music with exaggerated enthusiasm. Davidson joined in, his 6'4" frame bouncing awkwardly. I stood frozen for a moment, then felt Kim's hand on my shoulder. Trust me, sir, just this once. I danced. I danced in the middle of a festival, in a hostile city, with police hunting us, and an asset who held intelligence that could save lives. I danced like an idiot, and it saved us, because Kim was right. Nobody looked at us. Nobody questioned us. We were just part of the celebration, invisible in plain sight. He led us through that festival for 40 minutes, working slowly toward the river. By the time we reached the docks, the police had moved their cordon. They were searching buildings, checking alleyways, looking for people who were hiding. They never looked at the festival. We made it to the boat. We made it out. Every single one of us, plus Victor and his documents. Mission successful, against odds that should have ended in disaster. On the helicopter ride back, my team was euphoric, talking over each other, reliving the insanity of dancing through a festival while being hunted. But I sat quietly, watching Kim. He wasn't celebrating. He was staring out the window, that same distant look in his eyes, like he was already analyzing what came next. I moved next to him, had to shout over the rotors. How did you know about the festival, about the crowds, all of it? He looked at me, and for the first time, I really saw him. Not the quiet kid who didn't fit, but someone who saw the world differently than I did. I read people, sir. Cities, crowds, patterns. You see threats and objectives. I see behavior, the way people move, what they notice, what they ignore. At the briefing, When I studied the maps, I wasn't looking at streets. I was looking at where people would be, how they'd act, what would make us visible, and what would make us invisible. Why didn't you say all that earlier? He smiled slightly. Would you have listened? The truth hurt. No, I wouldn't have. I'd been too busy being right, too busy trusting my experience and my training to listen to someone who saw things I couldn't. Over the next 4 months, Kim saved our lives 3 more times, not with weapons or explosives or tactical brilliance, but with observation, with insight, with the ability to read situations before they developed. In Bosnia, he noticed that our local guide was too nervous, asked too many questions about our timeline. The guide was setting us up for an ambush. We switched routes and avoided it entirely. In Yemen, he realized that the building we were about to enter for an arms deal was too quiet. No street vendors nearby, no children playing. The locals knew something was wrong with that building. We found another location, and later learned the original site had been rigged with explosives. In Syria, he studied the body language of a supposed ally and concluded the man was planning to betray us. We adjusted our plans, and sure enough, the betrayal came exactly when Kim predicted. Each time, I learned to listen a little faster, to value what he brought to the team, but I still didn't fully understand. Not until the night everything changed. We were in Afghanistan, tasked with eliminating a high-value target, a Taliban commander who'd orchestrated attacks on civilian populations. The intelligence was solid. The target would be at a compound in the mountains. We had a 3-hour window to get in, confirm the kill, and get out. It was supposed to be simple. We infiltrated perfectly, reached the compound without detection, moved into position. Davidson had the shot lined up, a clean 700 meters. The target appeared exactly when intelligence said he would. Target acquired, Davidson whispered. I was about to give the green light when Kim's hand grabbed my arm. Wait, what is it? Something's wrong, sir. Look at the guards. Their positions are wrong. They're not protecting the compound. They're funneling attention toward it. I looked through my scope. The guards seemed normal to me. Alert, armed, scanning their sectors. Kim, we have the shot. This is what we came for. Sir, I think it's a trap. I think they know we're here. My blood ran cold. That's impossible. How would they know? I don't know, sir, but everything about this feels staged. The target appearing exactly on schedule. The guards positioned to make this shot possible. It's too perfect. Davidson's voice. Sir, I need a decision. Target's moving soon. I had seconds to choose. Take the shot and complete the mission, or trust Kim's instinct that something was wrong. Everything in me wanted to take that shot. We'd come all this way. The intelligence was solid. This was our job. But 6 months of watching Kim be right had taught me something. He saw things I didn't. Hold fire, I ordered. We're pulling back. Maintain observation from a distance. Davidson's confusion was palpable. Sir, that's an order. Pull back now. We withdrew 200 meters and watched. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Then a figure appeared on the compound roof. A figure with a rifle, scanning the exact position we just vacated. Then another, then 5 more. They'd known. They'd been waiting. If we'd taken that shot, if we'd stayed in position even 30 seconds longer, we'd have been surrounded, pinned down in hostile territory with no support and no way out. The target wasn't a target. It was bait, and we'd almost taken it. Kim had saved us again, but this time, it was different. This time, I finally understood. Back at base, I found Kim alone, cleaning his weapon. I sat down next to him. You're not really an observer, are you? He looked up, something like relief in his eyes. No, sir. I'm a behavioral analyst, psychological Operations. The army's been training people like me for years. We read micro-expressions, analyze patterns, predict behavior. Colonel Morrison thought your team needed someone who could see the human element, the part that doesn't show up in intelligence reports. Why didn't you just tell me that from the start? Because you had to learn to trust what I bring to the table, not just accept it because it came with an impressive title. You had to see the value for yourself. I thought about all the times I'd dismissed him, all the times I'd valued the loud, obvious strength over the quiet, subtle kind, all the times I'd almost gotten people killed because I couldn't see past my own definition of what made someone valuable. I'm sorry, I said, for not listening, for not seeing you. Kim smiled. You see me now, sir. That's what matters. I learned something crucial in those 6 months with Kim, something that changed not just how I led, but how I saw the world. We celebrate the obvious kinds of strength, the shooters, the fighters, the warriors who charge forward with courage and firepower. And those people are essential. They absolutely are. But they're not the only kind of strength that matters. Sometimes the person who saves your life is the quiet one, the one who watches instead of acts, the one who sees patterns instead of targets, the one who understands that the most important battles are won before the first shot is fired. I'd spent my entire career believing that value came from action, from doing things, accomplishing missions, racking up victories. But Kim taught me that sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is see clearly, to observe without judgment, to understand before you act. In our world, we talk about warriors. We celebrate aggression, decisiveness, strength, but we don't talk enough about wisdom, about patience, about the courage it takes to say, wait, when everyone else is ready to charge forward. Kim had that courage. Every single time he spoke up, he was risking my respect, my trust, the team's acceptance. He knew I didn't value what he brought. He knew the team called him Ghost, and not as a compliment. But he kept offering his insights anyway, because he understood something I didn't, that his job wasn't to be impressive, it was to keep us alive. Task Force Phantom ran 23 operations over 18 months. We had a perfect success rate and 0 casualties, not because we were the best shooters or the fastest operators or the most aggressive team, but because we learned to combine action with observation, strength with insight, courage with wisdom. Kim's not with us anymore. He was promoted, sent to train other teams in behavioral analysis, teaching them what he taught me, that seeing clearly is its own form of strength. But I carry his lessons every day, in how I build teams, in how I value people, in how I define what makes someone strong. The world will tell you that strength is loud, that power is obvious, that value comes from what you can do, what you can accomplish, what you can dominate. But real strength is often quiet. It watches, it waits, it sees what others miss, and speaks up, even when nobody wants to listen. The most dangerous operator I ever worked with wasn't the one with the most kills or the most medals. It was the one who could see a trap before we walked into it, who could read a situation before it went bad, who had the courage to say, wait, when everything in us screamed, go. That's the lesson. Not that action doesn't matter, but that wisdom matters just as much. That sometimes the person who seems weakest is actually the strongest. That the skills you can't see, can't measure, can't put on a resume, might be the ones that save your life. Kim taught me to value the quiet ones, the observers, the analysts, the people who don't fit the warrior mold, but bring something equally essential to the fight. And he taught me that real leadership means creating space for every kind of strength, not just the kind you understand, not just the kind that looks like you, but all of it, the loud and the quiet, the obvious and the subtle, the warriors and the watchers. Because in the end, it's not about being the strongest or the fastest or the most aggressive. It's about being complete, about having every tool you need to face whatever comes. And sometimes, the tool that saves you is the one you almost left behind. Remember that when you're building teams, when you're judging value, when you're deciding who matters and who doesn't, the person you overlook might be the person who saves your life, just like him saved mine, over and over and over again.